Hi ladies, I'm Yoli, your Jamberry consultant, and today I'm going to show you how I apply Jamberry wraps. First, I want to start by letting you know that I've already prepped, and prepping involves pushing your cuticle back, which I have already done. You can either use an orange stick, but an orange stick is going to push your cuticle without necessarily getting rid of it. My preferred method is using our cuticle spoon, metal cuticle spoon, which is going to effectively push and remove the cuticle, especially the invisible cuticle, which sticks around the edge of your nail plate and will prevent proper adhesion of the wrap onto your nail, which will then eventually lead to lifting. After that, you're going to wash your hands with dish detergent preferably, and you're going to dry them well. I am actually wearing our strengthening base coat, although this is not necessarily a required step. If you have ridges on your nails, you can also use our smoothing base coat. I don't have it with me right now to show you, but this is the one that I like to use. However, Jamberry does recommend this smoothing base coat. I also have our mini heater running. You can hear how quiet it is, or you can actually not hear how quiet it is. Other tools that you're going to need are a pair of scissors. You can either use straight scissors or cuticle scissors. I like both. You're going to need a coarse nail file. You may or may not want to use a buffer. This is our Jamberry buffer. And it's also nice to have a rubber tip cuticle pusher. And lastly, of course, your wraps of choice. I'm sorry, this is not the last thing. The last thing you're also going to need is either one of our Jamberry nail prep wipes, or you may also need some rubbing alcohol. That will be fine as well. Now, and you can see I'm gonna go ahead and use one of these today, which is fine. The beauty of our Jamberry wraps, this is a half sheet, is that they come with clear wrapping, and it allows you to kind of measure, especially if you're new, so you can properly gauge the size of the wrap, the appropriate size that you're going to need to apply to your fingernails. I already, of course, have been using them for some time, so I know the sizes that I'm going to use. So before you apply your wraps, you're going to use your alcohol swab, and you're going to wipe your nail to make sure that you're removing any kind of dirt, grit, oil, especially from your nail bed. So if you have especially oily nails, you probably want to do this right before you apply. So you may want to do one nail, apply your wrap, then you do the other nail, then you apply your wrap, etc., so that you're doing each of them individually. That is not a problem with me, so I'm going to go ahead and do them all now. Okay, and notice that I am rubbing. I'm not just wiping. I am paying special attention around the edges, which is where they usually lift from. Make sure that they are dry. So, for me, I know that for my ring finger, which is the one that I'm going to demonstrate today, I usually like to use what I call my number 4 wrap. And in my mind, I number them from top to bottom, bottom to top, although I've also seen people do it the other way. But for me, in my head, this is the way that I do it. So I am cutting and selecting the number 4 wrap. Again, this would have been 1, 2, 3, and so I'm holding number 4. I'm sorry that I'm holding that upside down for you. So each of these is going to be enough for 2 wraps. So you're going to fold it in half, cut them in half. And this is where either a pair of tweezers, if that's what you prefer to use. I like to use the orange stick. Comes in handy. You want to try to handle your wrap as little as possible, especially on the adhesive side. You don't want to handle that so that you are not getting it dirty. You then proceed to get it close to your heat source. I highly recommend our mini heaters because they provide the right amount of heat. You're going to warm it up until it becomes slightly flexible, like it just did. You're then going to approximate it to your cuticle without having it touch your cuticle, and you're going to deposit it on your nail bed, like such. This is the time when you want to look and make sure it is straight. If it isn't, you can always lift it, adjust it, until you're satisfied with the positioning. If it is, you're gonna warm it up one more time. I'm going to show you the 1, 2, 3 method. So you warm it up once. The number 1 refers to pushing from the cuticle all the way to the center, all the way to the tip, but down the center only. I am not touching the sides. I'm gonna use the wand to show you a little bit better. So I'm only focusing on the center. Oops. And I am applying pressure, ladies. This is not a product that you need to be careful. It is not going to break. Jamberry wraps need heat and pressure to get activated. Okay, so apply pressure. All right. Step number 2, you're going to apply heat once again to the side, left or right, it doesn't matter. And now you're going to apply pressure from the center straight to the side. Straight to the side, straight to the side. The reason that's important is because if you start going it front or backwards, you're going to trap air, and that's going to create bubbles. Therefore, it's going to create pleats and wrinkles, and those make it not look pretty and also makes it uncomfortable. So that was number 2. Step number 3 is warming up the other side and doing the same thing. You're going to apply pressure from the center straight to the side, from the center straight to the side, and from the center straight to the side. Okay? Now, I like to come back again, apply heat one more time. Notice I'm applying heat every time in between. The reason for that is the heat is what keeps the wrap, which is a vinyl product, pliable, and it makes it conform to the shape of your nail. Okay? If it's cold, it won't. It's going to want to stay flat like this one. And your nail is not flat. So it's important you use the heat in between to make it flexible. Notice that when I'm coming back around, I'm using my wand and I'm really going around the edges because that's where it's going to lift from. Okay? So at this point, what I would probably do, it's up to you. You can either go around and do the other nails. Because I use both hands to do my nails, what I like to do is use my cuticle scissors and remove the excess off the tip so that it's not getting caught while I'm doing the other fingernails. Now, when I remove this, I leave a little bit off the tip, maybe about a 1 millimeter edge hanging off. So I'm not cutting it back all the way down to my fingernail. And the reason for that is because heat expands. And so this wrap is going to shrink as it cools off. And if you cut it all the way back to your fingernail tip, when it cools down, it's going to leave some of your fingernail exposed. And that's not what we want, right? That's not the look we want. So then I apply a little bit more heat. And I may want to then take my finger and kind of like press this down a little bit so that it is just kind of like hugging my fingernail. Now, for the purposes of this video, and for the purposes of this video only, I'm going to do what I would have done had I finished all of my fingernails, but time advances. So once you've done all of them and your nail wrap has cooled down completely or cooled off, the last step is you take a coarse fingernail file. This is our Jamberry file, as you can see. And you're going to file at a 90-degree angle in a downward motion. You're not going back and forth. You're not going sideways, back and forth. It's downward only. You lift and you go again downward only. And you're going to do that. And what you're doing is you are basically, with this motion, cutting off that excess that we wrapped around the edge. You cannot have any nail wrap hanging over the tip of your fingernail because that's going to be caught on things and it's going to lift. So as you can see, that little piece is slowly disengaging or just becoming unattached from the rest of the wrap until it falls off. Okay? Now, if you are very, very rough on your hands, or if you're typing a lot, or if your nails tend to curve down, kind of like mine do, something you might want to do, this is an additional step, is you may want to use a buffer at this point, and you may want to then buff the tip of your fingernail at a 45-degree angle now. You don't want to use that rough nail file. It's going to make the tip of your wrap fray. You don't want to do that. This is too rough for this job. You want to use a softer tool for this, such as a buffing block. And if you do have one like this, which is fine, make sure you're using your finer setting, okay? Very, very fine. So you can buff at a 45-degree angle. And what it does is it gets rid of even a little bit more of the wrap without getting rid of nail, so that it leaves just a slightly edge of nail exposed, and to make sure that that's not going to get caught on anything at all. And give me a second because I have a little bit here on this corner. And that's because my nails are curved, excuse me. I don't know if I'm on camera or off camera. Sometimes I have to use a soft nail file for this. And no, this is not a Jamberry nail file. Okay. And the very, very, very last step, ladies, because we just messed with our edge, is apply additional heat to make sure you reactivate that, that free edge, and then pressure. Always heat and pressure to make sure it's sealed. If you do happen to have the metal cuticle pusher, you can even warm this up on the side of the, on the mini heater. Warm it up. I'm gonna warn you, this will be hot, ladies, depending on how long you leave it on there. And actually use it as an iron. And make sure that that is ironed out. And this is how you apply your Jamberry wraps. Absolutely beautiful, perfect, no pleats, no buckles, nothing. Just make sure when you're selecting, and I think I failed to mention, when you're selecting the size for your fingers, you select a size that is slightly smaller than your fingernail, okay? If you have any questions, you can always contact me and visit my website, which is lolarex.jamberry.com. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.